Hey gang, Rick here from Stony Acres Gardening. Today we are going to talk about how you can squeeze some raspberries into a very small space garden. So today we are at my daughter's house and she lives in a very typical suburban starter home neighborhood. The lots are small. They have about 1/10 of an acre total with a fairly decent sized house on that. And so they are not, this is almost their backyard, me reaching here. They do have a little bit of a side yard. When they moved in though, she was very determined that she wanted to have a garden, and so she spent some time mapping her son, and she figured out that she actually has on the west corner, because her house is on the north side of the street, which even complicates things more, but on the west and the east, she has some space that gets about 6 or 6.5 hours of sun during the summertime. So she wanted to do some planting. And one of the things that she decided she was going to squeeze into her garden was raspberries. And I'm going to talk today about 3 reasons why I think you should choose raspberries if you have a very small space garden. So let's talk about those ideas. First off, maybe this isn't one of the reasons, but kids love raspberries. Our grandkids just absolutely love raspberries. They love to be able to come out and pick them. So it's a fun food to have growing in your garden. But one of the main reasons why I think that you should be growing raspberries in a small space garden is because the monetary value of raspberries that you produce on your own is so great. So if your family likes raspberries and eats a lot of raspberries, you'll know that an organic pint of raspberries is usually going to cost you somewhere between $5 and $8 at most grocery stores. That's expensive. Well, this little patch right here, when it's completely filled out, is going to produce somewhere between 10 to 20 pounds of raspberries in a season. That's a lot of pints, and that's a lot of money savings. So that's one of the reasons why I think raspberries are a great choice, because they may not be the world's most productive plant, but value-wise, they are very, very productive to grow in a small space garden. The second reason why I think you should be growing raspberries in a small space garden is because they're perennial. They're pretty much no-brainer. There's a little bit of pruning that you have to do, but they come back every year. They pretty much take care of themselves. You just little pruning, maybe a little trellising, and you're off and running, and they kind of just do their thing. And so they can be really, really productive without a lot of effort. And then the third thing, and maybe this is more of a tip for you than anything else, is to choose an ever-bearing variety of raspberries. So technically an ever-bearing variety of raspberries will produce 2 crops in a season. So one in early summer and then in fall. Ever-bearing varieties, though, are very easy to manage and care for. So you can see she doesn't even have a trellis on hers. She just lets them grow. A lot of ever-bearing varieties like hers, which are Carolines, will do that. You don't have to fuss with trellising. And the other nice thing about them is you don't even have to fuss with pruning. The nice thing about them, you can get 2 crops from them, but if you don't want to mess with it, all you have to do is every fall, cut the whole patch to the ground. You just cut it down. No worrying about, here and there and which cane was this year and which is a primal cane and which is a flora cane, and none of that stuff. You can just cut them to the ground. They're going to come back up the next year and produce again for you in the late summer and fall. So ever-bearing raspberries are super simple, and that would be kind of my third tip for small space gardening. Now, let's talk a little bit about what she's done. So the variety that she has is Caroline, which is in the plant world, it's a relatively new variety. So it's about 27 years old. It was introduced in 1999. It's very popular because it has a nice big berry, very good taste. We love Caroline berries. And they're easy to propagate and easy to get a patch to grow. So this little patch that she has now started out with 6 plants that she took from my raspberry patch. So she took those 6 plants, planted them here, and they have already spread to this size in just 2 years. This is her 3rd season, so we're just coming up on 2 years that they've been actually planted. Now, I'll do a cutaway here so that you can kind of see the patch kind of started to spread, and they decided that they wanted to let it get a little bit bigger. And so you can see they've actually just gone through here, and they've cut in another 2 or 3 feet of space. And is what's going to happen, and again, beautiful thing about raspberries is those plants are going to spread. So next spring, these plants are going to put roots, because raspberries spread using roots. And so the roots are going to come and grow along and add more canes and fill out, and we're going to have this really nice sized patch squoze right into the corner of a very small garden. The one advice that I will give you, and what they have done, is they've put a barrier down. You do need to put a barrier, because those roots are going to grow, and if you don't let them hit something so that they stop, they'll continue growing and they'll spread out into your grass. So they put in a barrier that goes about 8 to 10 inches deep. That's usually enough to keep those raspberries from spreading out into your grass. So a fun, really simple way to add quite a bit of production. 10 to 20 pounds of raspberries is a lot, and they're already this year, you know, I would imagine they'll get pretty close to 10 pounds. The patch is looking good. It's a little bit rough right now because they have an easement along here, and a company came in and did some work, and they weren't very gentle with their raspberries, but they're starting to recover now, and I think she's going to have a good harvest. We're starting to get, if you look closely, she's already starting to get berries. We're only just a couple of weeks away, and here it is. We're the 3rd week of July. I would imagine 1st week of August they'll have berries on these plants. So if you have a small garden and you want a little bit of fruit in that garden, raspberries are an awesome choice, and I would encourage you to do that. And we love the Caroline raspberries, so I'm a little bit biased with those, but we really do love those Carolines. So great option for you if you have a small garden. Again, they're on like 1/10 of an acre, and they're able to have just a little bit squoze here in the corner where it's out of the way. Raspberries are tough enough that the kids kick a ball in them. It's not going to hurt them. And so it's just a great solution for growing in a small garden. Okay? All right. Just wanted to show that to you today. Of course, I'm proud of my daughter that she's gardening, and I always love that. One thing that I did want to make sure that you guys did is to go check out the Gardening Academy. So the Gardening Academy is our monthly membership service where we provide a lot of resources. We do weekly Q&As, just a fun community where you can learn more about gardening. So you can check that out down in the description below. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, get subscribed to my channel, and we'll talk to you guys next week. Happy gardening.